Happy Sabbath, boys and girls. Today's story is about a teacup. Once there was a couple who loved to visit cafes and tea shops to eat the yummy treats and drink their warm teas. One day, they went to a popular tea shop that they have never ever been to before. Once they were seated, they saw the most beautiful teacup they have ever seen in their entire lives. When the girl went up to pick up her drink, the teacup suddenly spoke. "You know," said the teacup, "I haven't always been this pretty. I haven't even always been a teacup. Once I was just a red and sad lump of clay. My master took me and rolled me and patted me over and over again until I yelled, 'Leave me alone!' But he only smiled and said, 'Not yet.' Then I was placed on a spinning wheel, and suddenly I was spun around and around and around and around. I cried out, 'Stop it, I'm getting dizzy.' But the master only smiled and said, 'Not yet.' Then he put me in the oven. I've never felt such heat. I wondered why he wanted to burn me. I yelled and pounded at the door of the oven. I could see him through the opening, and I could read his lips as he shook his head and said, 'Not yet.' Finally, the door opened. He put me on the shelf, and I began to cool. I thought, 'Phew, that's a lot better.' But suddenly, a paintbrush appeared, and the master started painting me all over. The fumes were so horrible that I started to gag. 'Stop it,' I cried, but he only nodded and said, 'Not yet.' Then he put me back in the oven, only this time it was twice as hot. I begged and pleaded and screamed and cried for it to stop. I thought that there wasn't any hope. I thought I would never make it. I was ready to give up. But then the door opened, and the master took me out and placed me on the shelf. He took a mirror and said, 'Look at yourself.' I could hardly believe what I saw. 'That couldn't be me,' I said. 'It's beautiful. I'm beautiful.' 'I want you to remember then,' he said. 'I know it hurts to be rolled and patted, but if I had left you alone, you'd have dried up. I know it made you dizzy to spin around on the wheel, but if I had stopped, you would have crumbled. I knew it hurt and was hot and disagreeable in the oven, but if I hadn't put you there, you would have cracked. I know the fumes were bad when I brushed and painted you all over, but if I hadn't done that, you never would have hardened. You would not have had any color in your life. And if I hadn't put you back in that second oven, you wouldn't survive for very long because the hardness would not have held. Now you are a finished product. You are what I had in mind when I first began with you." Jeremiah 18 verse 6 says, "He said, 'Can I not do with you, Israel, as this potter does, declares the Lord. Like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand, Israel.'" Now remember, boys and girls, whenever you feel like you're struggling or when you feel like life is so hard you might give up, know that God is always with you and that He has a plan for you.